Hi, welcome in. Let's get one thing straight. I am a paint pervert. I love paint. I love painting, and I love learning about pigment and its history. There are amazing and disturbing stories about pigments made from dried cow's piss, elephant tusks, mummies, and deadly materials like arsenic, lead, and mercury. As a proper paint pervert, I want to share my knowledge with you. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to make your own paint and store your own paint so you can be a pervert like me. Before we actually make the paint, we should talk about why you should consider making your own paint and reasons why you shouldn't consider it. There are three major reasons why you should consider making your own paint. The first major reason is you can now choose what pigments you are going to use from a much larger selection. For example, if you are looking for a yellow ochre, you can now choose a specific tone of yellow ochre instead of settling for what the companies choose to make. The second reason why you should make your own paints is that it's significantly cheaper to make your own paints than to purchase them. For example, this 1 kilogram bag of Blue Ridge Yellow Ochre pigment costs roughly $26. It will conservatively make around 600 milliliters of paint. One 150 milliliter tube of Blue Ridge Yellow Ochre paint from Rublev costs $40.20. So roughly, I could make myself somewhere in the range of $160 of paint at a cost of roughly $40. Some pigments have more savings, some have less, but I've always saved significant amount of money on any paint that I choose to make. The final major reason why you should consider making your own oil paint is you can fully control what oil and fillers and additives you add to your paint. Most major paint companies extend their pigments by using filler materials. The most common filler material is chalk. Other ones like resin, beeswax, silica, things like this are used also. By making your own paint, you can control what you add and how much you add in order to get your desired results. There is only one significant reason why you should not make your own oil paints. This reason is safety. Pigments are very dangerous if inhaled in their dry form. There are significant health risks when inhaling pigment dust. You should always wear a mask rated for dust inhalation, like an N95 mask, when exposed to dry pigments. You should not make your own paints and expose yourself to dry pigments if you're not willing to wear a mask. Don't be a fucker, be safe, and wear a mask. The only other reasons I would consider not making your own oil paint is frankly the mess. It does get messy, it does take cleanup, and there's a lot of equipment that needs to be cleaned with it. If you're willing to take simple safety measures and deal with the cleanup, then I think you are a great candidate to make your own paint. We are quickly going to go over the materials needed to make paint. First, we need pigment and we need oil. There are many oils you can choose. I use linseed oil for technical reasons. I will probably go into this topic in a later video, but at this point, this is the oil that I use for this paint. You may be thinking, why are you showing me your glass butt plug? Sorry to say, this is not a butt plug, but a glass molar. A molar is used to disperse oil around the pigments, and it is a necessary tool when making paint. I am also going to be making this paint on top of my glass palette that you see below the molar. To store the paint, we need collapsible aluminum tubes. I'm showing you two sizes here, the larger one being 150 milliliters, the smaller one being 50 milliliters. For this, we are going to be using the 50 milliliter tube. You need two palette knives, shapes of your choosing. We need this for moving the paint and mixing the paint. I'm using an N95 mask, and make sure, don't be a fucker, wear your mask. These are sheets of parchment paper. These aren't necessary, but these do help with transporting the paint into the tubes, so I use them. The first thing we do is we put some pigment on the palette, we add some oil to it, and we start mixing it with the palette knives. You could measure the amount of oil that you add, I just eyeball it. We are going for the consistency of a thick, stiff paste. If the pigment is still too dry, continue to add oil as needed. Remember, it's better to have too little oil at this stage since we can always add. There are certain pigments that are much less forgiving in this context, but in this case, this is a very good texture. Next, we're going to take this paste mixture, put it onto the molar, and start molding it against the glass. You don't need to put downward force onto the molar, you just need to move it around the paint and working in circular motions. From time to time, scrape off the sides and the bottom of the molar and remold that paint. Keep on molding it until the paint has loosened up and it's easier to mold. Make sure you mold over all the paint a few times. You can't really overwork it, so you don't have to worry about it. The biggest issue is if you had too much oil. Once you've reached your desired consistency, you can now gather up all the paint, scrape off the molar, and get ready to put it into the tube. Place the paint in the center of the parchment paper. Once you have put all the paint in the parchment paper, roll it up, and we are going to use this to insert the paint into the tube. Once you get the paint with the parchment paper inside of the tube, start squeezing the top and pushing the paint down into the tube. It gets very messy, but wipe down any paint that gets on your gloves or on the paint tube with a paper towel. Tamp down all the paint in the tube so it settles at the bottom. Once the paint is settled, crease the tube so you can seal it. Wipe away any excess paint that comes out of the tube when creasing. Using a set of pliers, crimp the edges of the tube so you can seal it. Now fold over the crimped area and then re-crimp it. Fold it over one more time and recrimp, and your tube is sealed. You now have your own homemade paint ready to use. Now, like a real pervert, print off labels and label your paint. If you liked the video, please leave a like. And if you want to see more in the future, please subscribe. I stream my live painting sessions on YouTube and Twitch, so please join me if you want to ask any questions in person. Links to my socials and my shops are below. We have prints and original paintings for sale. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.